Hello guys and gals. So today's Monday, 7:55 in the morning, and I haven't had any trades this week so far, in the last 24 hours since the market opened, or less than about 10 hours. But I did close out my trades right before the end of the weekend, and you can see the gap that happened. I didn't want to hold the trades that I had on the pound, so the 1, 2, 3, and 4, all those. Didn't want to hold them because of the possible gap up, and that would have been obviously bad for me considering my risk of 6 lots entirely from all these trades. So a bit high. So my intuition was right on this reversing. You know, I can say that after the fact now, but it did go quite a bit higher than I thought it would. I thought that it would reverse in this area, or even just below it. So this area I saw a good amount of resistance previously, and I was seeing that in here as well, here indecision candles, and so I was like, well, I think this is a good time to enter the market. Now, in my last video, I got a kind of a bit of backlash for my trend trading. I guess the trades that I took on Friday, that some individuals said that they didn't think that they were actually trend trades. And I argued initially about it, saying that, well, I was looking at the 1 hour and the 4 hour, and I saw that it was down. And, you know, some people might question that, because if you look at it, you'll see, okay, so there's a big push here, made a new low, creeped up a bit, and then it kind of just started ranging. And so this might be a bit difficult to determine as a continued downtrend. So this trade was more of a level play, I would say. So a level trade where I'm entering at a place where I find there to be some resistance in this area. But I'm also trading the pound because on the downside, because I still feel like there's pressure coming out of the UK on that currency, that we're still waiting for answers with the Brexit talks. And as long as nothing has been decided with that, I would still be short on the pound. So yes, I agree. This probably wasn't a trend trade. And so whoever was thinking that, I believe that you're correct. Okay, so I did close out for a small loss. It was about $200 or so last week. So I only made about $80 for the whole entire week last week. So not a great week, but still didn't have any losses. But this basket did close out in a loss of about $220. But I wanted to close it before the weekend just because of that gap potential. It's unfortunate because Trader's Way actually closes the market an hour before everybody else. So I'll get into this expert advisor in a second. Actually, well, maybe I'll just talk about it now. But the Oanda, the broker Oanda, actually closes an hour after Trader's Way does. And what happened was it did end up pushing down further in the last hour. But I was, like I said, forced to close it, so I could protect my account. Okay, so as you can see, no trades open, 20,385. So Robert's account, also no trades in the background, 121,918. But I'm currently testing a new strategy, and I've given some hints with this in the last couple of videos that I've been doing. But I'm finally making some headway, and it's been a lot of work though to make a scalping strategy work long term. It's not an easy task, but I feel like I'm just about there, and I may be able to go live with this week. And so let me get into how this actually works. Okay, so this is the strategy trading in the background. Now I've used a version of this strategy for the last 3 or so years, and I actually made a good portion of my trading profits by using this strategy during non-news events. But now I've actually modified it so it can trade through even the worst of news events, and that's what I've been working on so much lately. So this is a strategy that trades on the 1-minute chart, M1. Testing it from 2017, so January 2017, on every tick. Right now it's a little slower, but it shows you how it trades. Now this is a semi-martingale expert advisor, so it's a little bit different than your standard martingale, where you do 1, 2, 4, 8, and so on and so forth with risk management. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's how the lots are done. And it's shown a lot of success in my testing over the weekend. And how it works is you have these two lines. So you have the middle. Let me get rid of the. Okay. So you have the two lines, right? The red and the green on the bottom, and then the dotted green in the middle. Now typically, when the price goes above the red and below the green, so above the red, it means that we enter a sell. And if it goes below the green by 1 pip, we enter a buy. And it enters on a 6-pip grid, so you can see that's what it's doing right now, 6-pip grid right in there. And it will keep entering on the grid until it has a dollar take profit amount is met. Now a lot of you guys might be thinking, oh, this is a martingale strategy, that's really dangerous. It's also counter trend on a trend pair, so it's trading on the euro US dollar. And yeah, you can counter trend on the euro US dollar if you know what you're doing. And I have a 6-pip grid. I enter on the market on the M1, and so trades are entered and exited pretty quickly, usually within a few hours. And the single trades that you see here, you see it's continuing to go down. The single trades actually look for 50 pips profit, so they can be in a bit longer, but it's just equity profit that's floating, so it's not a big deal. And you can see the take profit right down here, and if you look at that, it's 50 pips, right about 50 pips. So let's see when that actually hits. It could bounce around a bit more. And this is what the strategy looks like on Oanda. So I have to do a lot less risk at Oanda because of the 50-to-1 leverage. And 50-to-1 leverage compared to 500-to-1 is quite a bit different. So I have to push down the risk by almost 10 times, especially considering that my test at MaverickFX is done on a 1,000-to-1 leverage account. So I have to be very careful with margin, because since this is a semi-martingale, things can get out of control if you're not careful. And you can see that the strategy, not necessarily long-term, this is from 2015, but I did do tests earlier from 2010 to about 2014, so I'm still missing about a year. And the test is still going to 2017 through 21. So this is over 2 years of testing, and you can see that the max drawdown, it says 8.88%, but that's not correct. I'm not actually doing a compounding here. The risk is staying at 0.01 even once the account is at 20,000. Now why I'm doing that is because I don't have a way to increase the risk with the EA. It's just not an option that I have set, because if I increase the risk with the lot size amount, that means I need to increase the dollar amount that I'm also taking. So it's something that I can implement later on, but just for testing, I want to see how this handles on a a $10,000 account. So you can see that the maximum drawdown is 17%. So 17% is just about on the edge of where I want to be for maximum drawdown, and that is the maximum in the entire test, which was right in here. So you can see that it's been smooth sailing ever since that time. And it enters and exits trades very quickly, like I said, only a few hours, which is ideal because I feel like the longer that you're in the market, the more at risk you are of either losing profit or potentially getting into losing trades. So you can see that the first trade here, right? Maximum drawdown on that first trade was 40 pips, right? And in the top order, since it's semi-martingale, I only need 10 pips from the top order and a pullback of 10 pips in order for all of the entire basket to close out. So what I'm looking for here is trades can go against me very heavily, but in order to take profit, I only need a small pullback because of the martingale strategy and also using it on the M1. So with a tighter grid, so I'm able to catch even the smallest of pullbacks. And how I'm able to do this in the longer term is by using really low risk on the starting trade. So 0.01 lots for every 10,000 that you have in the account, and you can't compound on a 50-to-1 leverage account at least until another 10,000 is in the account. So 20,000 would mean that we would do 0.02 lots. Now you can actually find this indicator. I'm pretty sure you can find one somewhere. It's just a TMA. It's a TMA indicator, and you can see the inputs. I think you can find it on MQL5. And I also am using the ADR, so the average daily range indicator, for the strategy at Oanda to help filter out some of the movement or filter out the very heavy volatility on the euro US dollar. So what that means is that if there's big volatility move or because of news, then the expert advisor will typically wait for that ADR to be at least 70%. So the T number needs to be 70% of the ADR before any trades are entered. This is a bit of a filter, and that helps me not get stuck in too much volatility on the strategy. Now there's a possibility that I can also add a news filter to this to really make it even better, which I may do in the future. Now it all depends on if I start using this or not, and I will probably know in the next 24 hours or so. And if things are good and my testing continues to go well today, I'll load it up on my personal account as well. Now, is this strategy better than my previous RMI strategy? Well, it's hard to say because that strategy is really solid over the long term as well. It's not semi-martingale, and so you can be a little bit, you have to be very careful with using a strategy like that. And it's proven itself very, very well over the last 6 months or longer for me, actually, almost a year now. So it's going to be hard for me to let go of that strategy. So I may actually decide to pull back the risk by 50% on my personal account or more, and just run both expert advisors on my account, so I can kind of expand my portfolio when it comes to Forex trading, when it comes to software used and tools used for my trading. So I mean, it's really simple. It's a really simple expert advisor. Enter up 1 pip above a short, enter long 1 pip below the green, and you can see that it looks for a mix of volatility. So it needs to be in between heavy volatility and low volatility. So you can see that it filters out lots of noise before it enters any trades, which is good. So this test right now is running from January, and you can see that the max drawdown is 800 right now, is $820. So that's about 8% of a $10,000 account, and we are just now, we're still in the first month. And it's been a big month in testing, and since this is every tick test, I would say that I can trust the results about 90%. But when we're talking about a semi-martingale expert advisor, and we have a lot of trades in, there can be positive and negative slippage, which is a big concern of mine, because strategies like this can really be affected by that, especially when you have a semi-martingale and the expert advisor has trouble closing out all the multiple orders. And so I'm expecting to have maybe some issues with slippage, either positive or negative, hopefully mostly positive, but that's something that I'm going to have to deal with over time. Alright, so yeah, I'm not much of a trend trader. As you guys know, I don't want to. I feel like I maybe have offended some people in the last video, or they just disagreed with me on the trades that I was taking. And yeah, I just don't call them a trend trades that I took. And my specialty is counter trend. But if I was going to do some trend trading, let me open up a new chart here. I'll show you what I look for, just so you guys don't think I'm a total noob when it comes to trend trading. Alright, so I mean, the pound US dollar is kind of in this range right now. So I'd be looking for the lower time frame and the M30 to see what the charts are looking like, and I see that there's been some good recent down pressure. And down here, it hasn't made a new low, so I'd say that it's hard to say where this trend is going. And how I usually detect a trend is if I scroll to my chart. And I look at where it's moving, so from the top down to the bottom, right? And I can tell that this is a trend moving down, right? At least on the 1 hour. And the thing with trend trading is that you can be trend trading on one time frame, and on the short side, and then on another time frame you could be trend trading on the opposite side. So you could be buying and selling. It all depends on your time frame with trend traders. And so that's why it can be pretty tricky to know what time frames to actually use when trend trading. Most people like to use the daily, weekly, and H4 4-hour chart when trend trading, because most likely they're keeping their trades in for a longer term. And if you go to the daily, you'll see that it has been moving up, right? So bottom of the chart to the top, and currently where it is now. And the best way to do that is you can just mark the swing levels too, or the main swing levels, and that usually will show you like an upward stair motion, right? And that's one way to see it. I mean, I don't need a bunch of indicators to show me where the trend is going, but on the daily chart, it's definitely going up. Now, if I scroll all the way down to the end, on the 4-hour, in recent, since the 28th, it's actually been moving down. So on the 1 hour, I would say that it's also been moving down. Sorry, I got a little bit sick over the weekend. So which would you follow? Would you follow the daily chart, or would you follow the H4 and H1, or a combination of all of them? And for me, I would think, okay, the daily is an important chart, but if I want some immediate trades, I'm going to take, and if I'm not looking for a large amount of pips, it actually should be based on the amount of pips that you're looking for. At least that's how I do it. I know everybody trend trades different, so hopefully I'm not offending more people or people are getting upset with my ideas regarding this, but this is just how I view it. And if I'm looking for 15 to maybe 30 to 50 pips, I'm going to be looking at the H1 and H4. If I'm looking for 100 to 200, maybe 500 pips, I'm going to be looking at the higher time frames because I'm looking for the bigger move. So in the H4 and H1, I'm going to be looking for the swing levels. So there's the one here, 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 here. So you can see that this is obviously moving down. And then a small recovery. And indecision area. Then a potential continuation because it broke this swing level here, made a new low. It broke the previous low. Bounced up again, made a lower high, and met that same level again, and then jumped up, and then started making a new levels. So like it was going to push back up. So kind of this swooping kind of thing, action going on right here, where the trend starts to get a little lost. And so this is probably what people were talking about, is in this area, it's tricky to say that this isn't a downtrend. So the push back up, and then the breaking of this level as well. And I would say that it's questionable that this is maybe going to go back on the downside, but the biggest support is the previous one at 1.305. Now, could we test that level? Right now, it's probably pretty close to retesting. It doesn't have to hit it exactly to retest, but we'll see if it continues back up and does a pullback right there. It looks like it's maybe in the motion for doing that. So if I'm looking for 15 pips profit, which I actually was doing on my trade, I was looking for only 15 pips profit on my original order. So I wasn't looking for a long-term, big day or week trend type of trade. It was more like close to a scalp, actually. Scalping usually consists of 10 pips or less, and this was a 15 pip take profit, so it was pretty close. It was a short-term trade. Alright, so that's kind of what I wanted to cover today. Nothing huge, but just letting you guys know that I'm still trading. Things are going well. I did have a small loss at the end of last week, but I expect to do better this week and maybe use a new expert advisor. And it trades almost daily, so I'll be able to show you guys the trades that it's taking and how well it did, and if there was really positive or huge negative slippage to potentially cause me not to use this expert advisor anymore. So that's something that I'm going to experiment with a little bit, and look at the options for a drawdown percent cutoff as well. So because trades will keep entering on a 6-pip grid at a semi-martingale type of strategy until there's no more margin left. So it's important that I have some kind of loss plan in place so I can still be protected on the account. Alright, I hope you guys have a good week, and I will likely be back with an update tomorrow or the next day. Have a good one. Bye.